An unbelievable Week 13 of the 2021 NFL season continues to roll on here tonight between the Patriots and the Buffalo Bills. Battle for the AFC East lead, where the Patriots are currently the number one seed in the AFC, following the plethora of upsets and things we didn't expect to happen in the NFL, such as Gardner Minshew taking over as the starting quarterback momentarily. We'll get more into that later on in the show. And leading the Eagles to a victory and looking great in the process. But if we're talking about the AFC, the battle between the Chargers and the Bengals was actually a good one as well, as the Chargers had a 24-0 lead at one point. Then the Bengals were able to come back, making it an interesting game, but then the Chargers really sealed the deal with their defensive touchdown late in the game. Hello, everyone. Welcome to a brand new episode of Time to Football. Glad you guys are joining us. My name is Hassan Khan, the host of the show that we like to call Time to Football. Very, very appreciative of you joining us during your work week, your work day. You're getting back into it Monday morning. We're here to give you a little bit of ADHD here as you guys are joining in. Let's talk about football. Hey, guys, a lot's been going on. I love the NFL. I love it. So many storylines, so many things that you just can't predict just happening, and it's just like a movie that's freaking made that. I mean, I love it. I love the NFL so much. That was corny. Can we cut out the last 20 seconds of what just happened, of everything that I said? No, we're live. Oh, we're live, brother. We're live. I mention this all the time, but if you don't get that reference where I say we're live, brother, it's when Psycho Sid Vicious, for you guys that watched WWF back in the day, he was doing a promo. He was like, "Let me tell you something, brother." I mean, that might not be that's probably the Randy Savage, "Oh yeah," voice, but I got 3 minutes of playtime. Anyone know that reference? So anyways, Sid Vicious is being interviewed backstage by Jim Ross. He's looking at the camera all intense, and then he kind of stumbled on his words, and then he's like, crap. He gets out of character, like, let's just do that again. And then Jim Ross goes, "We're live, brother. We're live." And then he goes, "Let me tell you something." He goes back into it. I tried to find it so I could show you guys on air, but I just can't. I can't find it. If I do find it, then I'll show you guys for sure. But cannot find it. You guys are joining us in the chat. Let's go ahead and acknowledge you guys. Dan is, as always. Good morning from Montreal. Yes. What a week 13. It really was a great week. Probably one of the best weeks of NFL football that I've seen this season. Good morning, peeps. Miguel dropping the word peeps with us. I love it. I love it a lot. Joshua, good morning. Let's go Chargers. Miguel acknowledging his favorite team as Justin Herbert continues to roll on that offense. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're not. So we don't know which Justin Herbert we'll be seeing. Guten Tag from Germany, Dan Schwab. Thank you so much. Hassan, I need that Allen and Diggs combo. 22 points in a standard league. Do you think it is possible? Any week I would say yes, but it's the Patriots. So I don't know. I really don't. I'm going to lean in and say yes, it is going to happen because it's freaking Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs. You can't go wrong with either one of them. But again, it's the Patriots. So fingers crossed. Hey, you want to talk about fingers crossed? Bro, let me show you my fantasy football week. I know I'm probably taking up some time from what I have to talk about. Whatever. It's my show. I can talk about whatever I want to talk about. So let me actually show you the scoreboard here. I was kind of in a pickle because I was going into that Sunday night football game up 115 to 101, something like that. Pretty much what had to have happened is Patrick Mahomes had to have scored less than 14 fantasy points in order for me to win. Gosh dang, freaking ESPN app. You got to watch ads to pull up your thing. Mikey, I don't know if you watched this show, but hey, good game. Good game. I got nothing but respect for you as an opponent. But I was honestly, I thought I was going to lose. But let me show you this little thing right here. What happened? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. It happened. I pulled it off. Patrick Mahomes only 12.56 fantasy points, and I won by just a little bit over a point, I was like so freaking nervous. I was like, throughout the game, I was like, oh, Patrick Mahomes needs 14 points. So I kind of accepted defeat before the Sunday Night Football game. And then I was like, wait, hold on. This is going in the favor of game script. When Daniel Sorensen scored that defensive touchdown for the Kansas City Chiefs, I was like, no need to pass it anymore. No need to pass it. Patrick Mahomes, more than likely going to pick up this dub. And this actually comes off the tail end of another victory that I had last week where I was down by like 60 points. 60 points last week. And then I had Deebo Samuel get rushing touchdown after rushing touchdown. I had Mark Andrews in that one touchdown, Lamar Jackson off his back foot on that Sunday Night Football game against the Cleveland Browns, and that pass interference. And then I had another game with Antonio Gibson going off as well, which we're going to be talking about later on in the show. So, 2 straight games I should have lost, but I ended up winning. I don't know how. But if you guys got some miraculous victories like that, please comment down below. I would love to hear you talk about that, and I'd love to acknowledge that on air as well. I'm going to get to you guys later on because you guys are probably asking a lot of your questions. Although Miguel has a good question. Hey, Hassan, what happened to the hungriest player of the week? You stopped naming them? I did momentarily just because I didn't think anybody cared about it. But if you care about it, I can bring it back. So hungriest player of the week. I've been doing that for like 9 years. So I can definitely bring that back. No problem. All right, let's first get into today's topics. And I think we have to talk about NFL news and notes that's going around the league as of right now, December 6th for this Monday. And then you can see the topic bar on the bottom if you guys are joining us during the YouTube show. What we learned is what we're going to talk about, 10 things that we can take away from this past Sunday. But then also Monday Night Football predictions. We talk about WinView Games, an app that we are sponsored with. And then we're going to get to viewer questions. If you guys are leaving your comments, I'll go ahead and acknowledge that and answer some questions as well. NFL news and notes. Okay, so some injury news that we're going to get into. But first, before we get into all the injury news, let's first get into the tea, as my hot brunette wife would like to say, the drama of the NFL. Big Ben Roethlisberger. A report came out by Adam Schefter that he has privately, how private is this, told his teammates and former teammates as well, like certain teammates, not all of them, he didn't announce this to the whole team, that he's going to retire. Now, that's what people are thinking. In his words, in Adam Schefter's report, it said that he expects this to be his last season with Pittsburgh. So does that mean that he kind of goes down the route of Phillip Rivers, where we kind of go off on okay, thank you for your time, but we're moving on? Ben Roethlisberger signs a 1-year, $25, $30 million contract, whatever, with a playoff team that needs a quarterback. Or does he just retire? So we don't know yet. But that was a report that Adam Schefter came out with. And then after that game, that thrilling game against the Baltimore Ravens, he came out and said, listen, per his words, I'll address any of that stuff after the season. So we don't know yet the status of Ben Roethlisberger. Just wanted to go ahead and put that in your ear because it was pretty newsworthy. Jalen Hurts, according to Nick Sirianni, is going to remain the starting quarterback, and Gardner Minshew is going to go back to his backup role. Minshew looked great. He looked wonderful. But Hurts is the guy. And we're going to talk about it in 10 things that we learned. We're going to talk about Gardner Minshew. But the offense didn't seem like it kind of stopped. I mean, the run game was... Miles Sanders had his best game of the season, rushing for over 100 yards. But they feel that Jalen Hurts is the man. So Nick Sirianni is going to stick with Jalen Hurts. At least we would think for the remainder of the season. And then, those reports that came out that Howie Roseman, Jeffrey Lurie, are they really that committed on him? Then later on in the season, off-season, they'll probably reevaluate and see if Gardner Minshew is the better option. John Harbaugh says that the reason he went for that 2-point conversion, this was after the game, he kind of confirmed this, was because of the depleted cornerback room that they had in that game. So already their pass defense was struggling. Deontay Johnson was having the game of his career, and they just needed to go for 2 points, go ahead and seal the deal, and they took that risk, ended up losing. Lamar Jackson just a little bit too far for Mark Andrews, could not connect. But speaking of that depleted cornerback room, that kind of leads us into Marlon Humphrey, very talented defensive back for the Baltimore Ravens. He has a torn pectoral, and he is unfortunately out for the remainder of the season. Now, Marlon Humphrey, very talented guy. This season, however, he has given up a little bit too many big plays. However, in that Ravens secondary, he's probably the best player. But so this is going to be a huge loss for them in a secondary that's already struggling to stop the pass. Panthers fired Joe Brady a couple days ago, offensive coordinator for the Carolina Panthers. He has been let go of his duties. Matt Rule said that he met up with him and he informed him that he will no longer be the offensive coordinator. I think it's Jeff Nixon, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe it's Joe Nixon. Maybe I'm just thinking of Joe Mixon. But Jeff Nixon, I think, is going to be the offensive coordinator moving forward. Daniel Jones is going to be out for multiple weeks, per a source. So Mike Leonard suffered an injury as well. And then Logan Ryan wanted to come in. Per Logan Ryan's words, defensive back for the New York Giants wanted to come in, and he said that he can complete short 2-yard passes like Tua. So that was kind of a dig to Tua, and he talked a big game after losing that game. So hey, I admire it. I admire it. Like he was like, yeah, I lost the game, but I'm still gonna say this. So yeah, Logan Ryan wanted to complete 2-yard passes like Tua Tagovailoa. Aiden Hutchinson. So a little bit of college football. I don't really watch college football because it's about like tradition and like there's all the coaches are the same. 100. You cannot have a college football program at your school unless your coach is older and a Southern man. That is absolutely the requirement to be a college football head coach. An older, like 100%, you have to be an older Southern man that believes in building character in young men. That is, hey, I'm not about winning games. Was it Brian Kelly? Became the head coach of LSU, went from Notre Dame, and then he was like, listen, I'm the best conference in the country. I want to, this. I feel like George Bush right now. W, not HW. I want to build the best man. That's why I'm here. That's my purpose. No, it's not. No, it's not. You want to win games. That's a good incentive. I get it. But I don't understand why coaches always have to say, it's about building a good character in these men and developing them into being great men moving forward. College football is great, though. I love college football. I just like the NFL better. I'm just saying, like, all the college coaches are just older Southern men that believe in building character in their players. That's 100% absolutely the requirement. But Aiden Hutchinson, very talented defensive end for the Michigan Wolverines, coached by Jim Harbaugh, is emerging as the number one prospect in the NFL draft upcoming in 2022. So, there's a good amount of talent in that defensive end edge rushing group. You also have Kayvon Thibodeau from Oregon. So, a lot of good talent that could be the number one pick. So, we'll see if the Lions or whoever it may be, because you never know. Like the Lions win a game. Oh my gosh, that was amazing. Kirk Cousins 7-0 against the Detroit Lions as a Minnesota Vikings, or with the Minnesota Vikings, and now he lost his first game against the Detroit Lions in an amazing fashion. But yeah, Aiden Hutchinson emerging as the number one overall pick. Joe Burrow dislocated right pinky, but he wants to play through it. That is not going to factor into his game plan, according to him. So we'll see if Zach Taylor is going to be sitting him out or not. Joey Bosa, he cleared a concussion. So there was a little bit of a scare. Had a concussion, had to be taken out of the game, came back in. And, the reason why the Bengals were able to come back from 24-0 and make it 24-22 momentarily was because Joey Bosa was missing from that game. And so Joey Bosa cleared concussion protocol. He's good. Bosa will be starting for the Chargers moving forward. Kenyon Drake, unfortunately, broke his ankle on a run. I think it was like a 3-yard, 4-yard run. It wasn't that significant of a run either. Unfortunately, he did break his ankle. Josh Jacobs stepped in as a true 3-down back, which he has been for the last few weeks. And unfortunately, Kenyon Drake is going to be out for the season. Adam Thielen, high ankle sprain. Short turnaround, faces the Saints the Steelers on Thursday Night Football. Short turnaround from Adam Thielen. We don't expect him to play this Thursday. Logan Thomas, last little bit of news, and it's an unfortunate one. Logan Thomas, tight end for the Washington football team, had a touchdown against the Las Vegas Raiders, but unfortunately, later on in that game, tore his ACL and MCL. He was pretty emotional on the sideline on top of that. So that is bad news for Logan Thomas, and we'll see if he can recover in time for the beginning of next season. Maybe he has to come back, start off on the PUP list, physically unable to perform in 2022. But that is your NFL news and notes for today, December 6th. Wonderful, wonderful Monday. Oh, I found this image, by the way. I think this is courtesy of Bleacher Report Gridiron, which is a very good Instagram account if you want to follow them. This was pretty funny when Chase Claypool was asked about what needs to improve in Steelers practices. This is what he said. Let me show you the graphic here real quick. He said, we have music in the warm-ups. People are dancing, having fun, so I think maybe music would make practice a little bit more fun. That's what Chase Claypool said when asked about how to improve Steelers practices. And then Mike Tomlin comes out and says, Claypool plays wide out, and I'll let him do that. I'll formulate the practice approach. That is savage by your head coach. That is savage. So, all right, Claypool, I guess no music. No music. Anyways, now to move on to 10 things that we learned from this past week of NFL football, from this past Sunday. So the week isn't over. Like I said, we got Patriots and Bills coming up later tonight, which we're going to be talking about in just a bit. But we always talk about this every Monday from the past Sunday of games. What are some things that we can take away? What are some things that we learned? 10 things. Number one, the Chiefs' defense is making up for the lackluster offense. I hate to say that. All season, the offense has been kind of consistent, maybe with the exception of like one or two games where they've been looking very, very good. But unfortunately, the offense, for the most part, has been consistently average to below average. And that's kind of not what you want to see and what you'd expect to be a high-powered offense. But the defense, the reason why the Chiefs have been able to win the last 5 games and take a hold currently of the AFC West is because of their defense. The first 7 games of the season, they were giving up 28.1 points per game. The last 5 during this 5-game winning streak, only 11.2 points per game given up. This Chiefs defense is on a trend upwards. They're looking good, and the Chiefs defense, surprisingly, is outperforming the Chiefs offense. Takeaway number 2. Could Gardner Minshew eventually be the Philadelphia Eagles' starting quarterback? And should he be the starting quarterback this season at least? He looked great against the New York Jets. 20 out of 25 passes completed, 242 yards and 2 touchdowns, a 133.7 quarterback rating, and he really lit it up very early on to his main man, Dallas Goedert. Nothing about the Eagles' offense looked like it was lacking. Like Miles Sanders had the best game of his career so far in the season. I would want to say the best game of his career, but Miles Sanders had the best game of the season just last week with Gardner Minshew under center. Jalen Hurts, I understand you're like first in the NFL, top 5 in the NFL in rushing yards as an offense in general, and you've been on this win streak ever since you decided to run with the ball with Boston Scott, Miles Sanders, Jordan Howard, etc., etc. But could Gardner Minshew, I mean, he brings just a different element to the pass game that has been lacking with Jalen Hurts. It's interesting to see. Nick Sirianni has come out and said, no, Jalen Hurts is going to be the starter for the remainder of the season, but at what point do you want to be like, okay, we're out of playoff contention, or this offense is just continuing to struggle. Jalen Hurts has thrown 2 interceptions. We got to take him out. We got to put someone in that we can trust that has proved that he is a good quarterback to bring a spark to this offense. Gardner Minshew could get more reps for the Philadelphia Eagles this season. Love to hear your thoughts, by the way, on if you think that's going to happen or not. Takeaway number 3. Van Jefferson and Odell Beckham have both filled in for Robert Woods. So there was a little bit of a discussion. Is it going to be Odell? Is it going to be Van, who fills in as a number 2 receiver behind Cooper Kupp? Both certainly have done their job and have filled in very, very nicely. Both of them, 2 touchdowns in the last 2 games. Both of them, deep threats. Both of them could be your 2A and 2B. Now, if I had to lean in towards a 2A, I'm saying that Van Jefferson is more the 2A, and Odell could be the 2B if you want to say that 2B is more, inferior to 2A. But I think that for the most part, both of them are doing a very good job, this Rams offense is, of incorporating them and scoring touchdowns, getting big plays, and filling in very, very nicely for Robert Woods. The next takeaway, the Washington offense is now centered around Antonio Gibson, and we love to see it. The fourth best running back in fantasy football the past 4 weeks. Since they came out of their bye week, they are 4-0. They're playing better defense, meaning that Antonio Gibson is going to get more carries on the ground. He's averaging 27 touches per game the last 4 weeks. Him and the defense are the reason why they've been on this 4-game winning streak since they came out of the bye. Something happened in that bye week. Ron Rivera, the coaching staff, all of them realized, listen, what are we doing with Antonio Gibson? This was a star player that broke out against the Dallas Cowboys and had so many breakout games last season. Why are we not incorporating him more? And something just flipped to where, all right, let's take the pressure off of you, Heineke. Let's give it more to Antonio Gibson. His shin, yeah, it's a little bit of an issue, but it should be fine. He says he's fine. He's not playing hurt. And from the looks of it, Antonio Gibson is looking really, really good. So this Washington offense now runs through Antonio Gibson. He is averaging 27 touches per game, and that is incredible. But in that game, they faced the Las Vegas Raiders. And the next takeaway, the Raiders just cost themselves a playoff spot with that loss. Technically, no, but they pretty much did. I mean, at this point moving forward, let's look at the schedule. The Chiefs, the Colts, the Chargers, the Browns, the Broncos. 2-3 of those, yeah, they might win, which puts you at what, 8-9, 9-8? Sure, you can make the AFC wildcard race. Why not? But there are very, very important games. First of all, the Chiefs have been looking good. They lost big time to the Chiefs earlier this season. We don't know if they're going to win against them. You have to beat the Colts and you have to beat the Chargers because you have to get the tiebreakers in both those. The Chargers beat the Raiders earlier this season. So if you lose again, all right, already the Chargers have a better chance of making the playoffs than you do. Then if you were to lose to the Colts, who are ranked ahead of you right now in the playoff race, you're not going to get the tiebreaker if you lose to the Colts. So those are very, very vital games that they have to win. And unfortunately, there's a big difference between 7-5 and 6-6 in the AFC wildcard race. And the Raiders kind of cost themselves in that game against Washington. I mean, they've lost 4 out of their last 5 games now. So it's going to be a tough climb for the Las Vegas Raiders. The next takeaway, nothing is wrong with Russell Wilson. We were all concerned. The Seahawks offense, not looking good. But if we looked at Russell Wilson in particular, the last 2 games, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception, completing 73.5% of his passes, 106.1 quarterback rating on average the last 2 games. So this offense runs through Russell Wilson. He is the offense. There is no run game. The receivers are good, but they're not going to be good unless Russell Wilson is under center. We've seen that. We've seen what Geno Smith can do. But with Russell Wilson, this offense is just a different dynamic. And finally, maybe it just took a couple of weeks to really get adjusted, get back into it. Maybe his mallet finger was not really producing. But as of right now, it looks like Russell Wilson, nothing is wrong with him. The Seahawks offense is fine. Unfortunately, as far as making the playoffs, it might be a little bit too late. But we know that Russell Wilson is fine. The next takeaway, maybe Tua Tagovailoa is the future. Brian Flores might have been onto something saying, no, Tua's our guy, not Deshaun Watson. Because once he returned, and in the month of November, since returning as the starter the last 3 weeks, 80% of his passes completed, 5 touchdowns, only 1 interception, 108.2 quarterback rating. He's had a 100 rating or more in 4 straight games. And only Dan Marino is the only quarterback in franchise history that has more consecutive 100 rating games. He had 6 during his 1984 MVP season. So maybe Tua Tagovailoa is playing at a great rate and could be the future during this Dolphins win streak that they have going on right now. Not a lot of teams have gone from 1-7 to 6-7. The Dolphins are in a very, very exclusive group that has been able to do that. And one of the reasons is Tua. The next takeaway, teams have picked up on Jamar Chase. Unfortunately, it's bound to happen. Very talented player, and I don't think this is going to be a permanent thing. I think that he's going to be getting better and better and better. I mean, he's starting to acknowledge, like, oh my gosh, they know exactly where I'm going to run my routes. They know how I play the game. Let's compare the stats from weeks 1 through 7 compared to weeks 8 through 13. From weeks 1 through 7, 107 yards per game. Fabulous. Amazing. 8 through 13, only 40 yards per game. They definitely picked up on Jamar Chase's game, and he has to learn how to evolve. So this is a good learning curve for Jamar Chase right now, and is a little bit of a rut, if you want to call it that. Teams have picked up on Jamar Chase. He needs to evolve. Next takeaway, Matt Ryan's career might be similar to that of Phillip Rivers. Now, they are kind of different in the sense of MVP season, went to a Super Bowl, compared to Phillip Rivers, who might have better stats or make more Pro Bowls. But I'm saying it could be similar in the sense of how the career is going to end, because I don't think the Falcons are going to stick with Matt Ryan much longer. And it could be as soon as 2022, where he could be going to a different team. I don't know whether it's going to be via trade. I don't know if they're going to release him. I don't know if they're going to draft another quarterback and then keep Matt Ryan for 2022. I don't know. But what could happen, and when I say it could mimic Phillip Rivers, is if he were to lead the Falcons and go to another playoff contender, sign a 1-year, $20, $25, $30 million contract just for 1 year, because he's proven to be productive so far. Doesn't seem like he's on a decline per se. So Matt Ryan, his career could mimic Phillip Rivers towards the end of their careers. And the last takeaway, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, is their run defense still legit? I mean, since the bye week, it's been kind of on a decline. They're giving up a lot of yards and touchdowns to running backs. Antonio Gibson had 2 touchdowns against them. Jonathan Taylor had a touchdown against them. Mike Davis had a touchdown against them. You know, when it's Antonio Gibson, you're like, oh, okay, well, the Washington football team they were kind of lined up on the goal line anyways. Like, yeah, sure, give up 2 touchdowns. Jonathan Taylor, oh, he's the best running back in football right now. Yeah, sure, he's bound to get a touchdown. But then you see Mike Davis, and you're like, ooh, what's up with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers run defense as of late? 5 touchdowns in the last 5 games. Something's up. Something's up. So those are 10 takeaways that we can learn from this past Sunday's of games. Oh, wow, I am going way over time, but yeah, whatever. Whatever. I can do what I want. South Park, episode where he was on Maury. Anyways, WinView games. What we do is we preview the Monday Night Football game between the Patriots and the Bills via WinView. Now, winview.tv/T2F. The link is in the description. Sign up, start playing. What it is you just make predictions on what's going to happen pregame or maybe even during the game. Hey, do you think that Mac Jones is going to pass a touchdown? That could be a live question. Or pregame, do you think that both teams are going to combine for 44 points total in this game? There's a lot of questions that you can answer, and if you are correct, you earn some points that can help you win some cash. So we showed you some questions that are available on the WinView app on Instagram. You guys voted on what do you think is going to happen. So we're just going to go ahead and go over people's votes, see what's going to happen. So question number 1, there will be 2 or more interceptions between both teams. Will that happen or no? Well, if we look at the polls, 82% say yes, 18% say no. Is it going to be Josh Allen throwing 2 interceptions? Mac Jones is going to be 1-1. J.C. Jackson is in the secondary, and unfortunately, Tre'Davious White is not going to be. So, I mean, people are saying yes. I'm going to lean in towards yes as well. I think it could be 1-1 each, both very good defenses, so we'll see. Any player records 9 receptions or more. Will that happen or no? 67% say yes, while a third of you say no. I'm going to lean in towards no. I think the only player that's capable of that is consistently capable of that is Stephon Diggs. And I think J.C. Jackson is going to lock him up. So I don't think that's going to be happening. I know a lot of guys are saying, oh, well, maybe Jacoby Myers, he's a PPR machine. Gosh, Jacoby Myers the last few games has not been I don't think he's gotten double-digit receptions since maybe early on in the season. So Stephon Diggs is the only one, and I think J.C. Jackson's going to lock him up. Either Stephon Diggs or Hunter Henry scores a touchdown. 90% say yes, 10% say no. I'm going to say no. I'm going to lean in with the, I know it's not a favorite, but listen, Hunter Henry, 7 touchdowns in 7 games at one point, but then since then, I think it's the last 2 or 3 games, he hasn't scored a touchdown. So, I mean, what makes you think that he's going to score one against the Buffalo Bills? And then as far as Stephon Diggs, again, J.C. Jackson, I just keep on going back to that. Keep on going back to that Patriots secondary. The Patriots have more sacks than the Buffalo Bills. Will that happen or no? Well, if we look at the polls, 54% say yes, 46% say no. I'm going to lean it towards yes. I think Matthew Judon was one of the more underrated free agent signings across the whole entire NFL. Arguably the best free agent signing by any team. So I think the Patriots have got that one. Kendrick Bourne has more catches than Cole Beasley. Will that happen or no? 52% say yes. 48% say no. Okay, so Cole Beasley has been on a little bit of a decline, a little bit of a rut. Hasn't been catching as many passes as we expect. But I think it is going to lean in towards Cole Beasley being more of the targeted man than Kendrick Bourne. Kendrick Bourne has only been targeted, 6 times, averaging 5-6 targets a game. Whereas Cole Beasley could be, has a higher chance, higher upside of getting 8, 9, 10 targets, especially if your number one receiver, Stephon Diggs, is a little bit bottled up. You may want to look into the slot option of Cole Beasley. Dump it off to him. Any player has a 20-yard TD run or more. Will that happen or no? Damian Harris, Ramondre Stevenson, Matt Breida, Devin Singletary, 59% say yes, 41% say no. I'm going to say no. It's going to be tough to run against both defenses. The Patriots actually, you may not think they're not as good at the run, stopping the run as you may think, but still, I'm going to say no. Josh Allen has more passing yards than Mac Jones. Will that happen or no? 74% say yes. 26% say no. I'm going to say yes. Mac Jones, he's been looking great, and he has had a couple of 300-yard games this season, but it's Josh Allen's who's favorited to pass the ball more. Before overtime, the game is decided by 6 points or less. Will that happen or no? 46% say yes. 54% say no. Are we expecting the Bills to win this game? I think the Bills are the favorites. I don't know what the line is. I think it's 4.5, something like that. I'm going to lean in towards yes. I think it's going to be close. I think Bill Belichick is going to keep this game close because, every single game this year, I don't want to say every single game because I have to look at the stats, but the majority of this game has been determined, their losses at least have been determined by one possession. So I think it's going to be a close game. And then finally, both teams combined for 44 points or more. 22-22. Could that be the score? Looking at the poll, 56% say yes, 44% say no. I'm going to lean in towards yes. I think that is going to happen. 22 points each. Sure, I think that's very doable. But that is WinView games. Again, you can go online, winview.tv/T2F, sign up, start playing. I'll actually show you a little bit of a preview right here. I got the app pulled up, and then you can vote on these questions. So, for instance, this question right here, at least 2 total interceptions are recorded in this game. So if we click on predict, we're going to say yes, because that's what the people want. People believe that's going to happen. So you get a number of points. If you're taking a risk at it and you're like, I don't feel that safe about my answer, you can just put up 250 points out of the 15,000 that is available to you. But if you're feeling like, yeah, I'm a little bit more confident in that, you can put in 750, or you can take a one-shot, risk-free chance at these 10 questions and say, hey, it's not going to count against me if I get this wrong. So you could do either one. But I'm going to go ahead and lean in towards, maybe in the middle, 500 points. You just make the prediction, and boom, goes to the next question. So that is WinView Games, winview.tv/T2F. Sign up, start playing. There's going to be a QR code for you guys that are watching this post-live stream right over here in the corner, right around there, that you guys can click on or scan and download the app and start playing. So much fun. All right. What we got now is viewer questions. You guys have been patient and leaving your questions in the comments. Let's go ahead and acknowledge this for you guys that are currently watching live. TB12 Goat Man, I'm up 59 points. He got Josh Allen and Diggs. Need the win to make playoffs. You think I win? Oh man. So Dan is in the position where he has Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs and only needs 22 points. Whereas your opponent, TB12, has Josh Allen and Diggs, and you're up by 59. So let's just go ahead and say, for the sake of this, Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs combined for 25 points. So both of us win. So let's say 59 points. What would that be? Let's say 30 points from each. I like your chances. I like your chances a lot. Now, for the 22 points, Josh Allen could get like 15 points, let's say, since it's a tough matchup. 15 points. And this Stephon Diggs, 10 points, 12 points, 7 points. Yeah, it's doable. I think both of your guys' chances are pretty good. Miguel, you asked about the hungriest player of the week. I could bring it back if you guys want me to. I have no problem with that at all. I just didn't think anybody really cared about it, so I just kind of stopped. Aloha, good morning. Y'all locked up playoffs in 2 out of 4 leagues so far. Rob Dale, congratulations, man. Congratulations. I'm locked up in 1. I have the chance to fight for a bye in that one. And then the other, I am, I don't know. It's the Viewer League. If you guys keep up with the Viewer League, let me know. I got to check that more. I feel bad. Dave saying, can the Falcons stop with their nonsense? No, sir. No, sir, man. This is Atlanta. This is Atlanta. If you choose to root for this team, man, like me, you got to be loyal with them. It's ridiculous, yes. But hey, I will give them credit. I will give them credit because for the majority of the game, they stayed in there with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers when we expected this to be a complete blowout. Now, I will say this as well. That game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, there was at one point, it was 27-27 was the score, right? And then the line for betting was -11, Tampa Bay, right? That's the favorite. Like, oh, they're going to win by 11 or more points. And then it was 2 minutes left, and they were only up by 10. And it's like, oh, man, a lot of people had money on that game. And then Ryan Suckup kicks a last-minute field goal, and they win by 13, and people are like, oh, yes. So a lot of people were happy about that result. But as far as the Falcons go, they cannot stop with the nonsense. It's in their identity. It's in their DNA. Took a DNA. Turns out I'm 100% that bitch. Minnesota Vikings. Wait, I skipped one right here. No, I got it. Budlofsky. I'm locked in 6 out of 7. 7 leagues. Golly, dude. That 7th will be locked. Hashtag Diamond Yahoo player. That's what I do. That is a frick ton of leagues, dude. I say this all the time. 2 leagues max. And it's like, I'm not putting 50-50 attention in either one. It's more like 80% attention in one league and then 20% in the other. I can't do 7, man. I cannot do 7. How you feel about Zeke / Pollard as my RB3 flex and T. Higgins as wide receiver 3 for the rest of the season? I like T. Higgins. He's really stepped it up because, like I said earlier in the show, people have picked up on Jamar Chase. People have picked up on his game, and now T. Higgins has really been the beneficiary of that. Zeke Pollard as RB3, yeah, I like it. And now I didn't like Zeke this past week. I don't know whether it was a knee injury, whether Toad Pollard just had this incredible one play, whatever. But I mean, man, it kind of worries me about Zeke a bit, but I'm still going to rely on him being an RB1. So I think you're fine with that. John Kelly, I was at a 1% chance to win last week going into halftime. Golly. Okay, you guys are leaving comments based off of the chances. Yeah, dude, I was, I want to say like 2 or 3% in that game against Patrick Mahomes. I was like, oh my gosh, dude, I'm going to lose. I was at a 1% chance to win last night going into halftime. Had Gibson playing for me, I won by 5 points. This week, I'm up 15 points going into tonight, and I have pass defense and Folk. He has Singh and Knox. Singh who? I know that's a typo. Who are you trying to say? Who are you trying to say? Anyways, you got it. You got it. Like Folk, the number one kicker in fantasy football. Pat's defense have been looking good as well. But yeah, John, congrats to you, man. 1% chance of winning, and then like Antonio Gibson. I like looking back at um, previous comments on videos. Now sometimes I admit this like all the time. Like I'm wrong about a lot of stuff, and I'm right about some stuff as well. For instance, Antonio Gibson, I called him as a top 5 fantasy running back this year in fantasy football. Now, if he didn't hurt his shin, like based off the way that he's playing, he could have been top 5. But week 9, I think it was, week 9, week 10, week 11, I was saying, guys, before week 12, because week 12 through week 17, Antonio Gibson is going to be a top 10 fantasy football running back based off the schedule. Before that, please trade for him. And then I mentioned that in my week 9 trade targets video, and a lot of people were like, that's a terrible buy. Why would I rely on the shin injury of Antonio Gibson? Like, nah, I'm going to pass up on Antonio Gibson. I hope you guys bought in on him. And I hope you guys bought low because people's expectations were low on Antonio Gibson. And they probably still are. Like, he's very underrated right now. Like, he's not breaking out like Jonathan Taylor, per se. And he's not getting the attention of, like, those top running backs like Ezekiel Elliott or whoever it may be. But he is slowly, the past 4 weeks, becoming a top 7 fantasy football running back. So I like Antonio Gibson a lot. Earthly Links, looking for the number 1 seed in the league this week. Highest point output so far. And if this continues, holding on to Javonte Williams and Antonio Gibson will pay huge dividends. We love it. I know, that's very 2015. But Earthly Links, you saying that you're holding on to Javonte Williams and Antonio Gibson makes me proud as a Time2Football analyst, I don't know. Because that's what I've been preaching for the last few weeks, Earthly Links, and you've been tuning in too. I appreciate that. Holding on to Antonio Gibson, we preach that. Thank you for doing that. Javonte Williams, trading low for him and saying that he's going to be a top 5 running back the rest of the way if Melvin Gordon were to miss some time. Love it as well. You the man. You are the man for tuning in and really making your best judgment on that as well, because I know that's a lot of you and making your own decisions as well. Ronnie the Goat saying, hashtag Javonte season. Is Gibson top 5 running back? Not the Mayo saying that. Based off the volume, yeah. Now, if you look at yards per carry, that's kind of concerning. And I think it's a lot is attributed to either his shin injury or the offensive line of the Washington football team is not the best. But this whole game plan is centered around Antonio Gibson running the ball. 27 total touches. 23 of those are groundwork touches, like carries, and then 4 of that is receptions. Averaging that the last 4 weeks. Yes. I mean, based off the volume alone, he could be a top 5 fantasy running back, but based off of the yards per carry and the situations, I put him more inside the top 10 than the top 5. But, I mean, you can't go wrong with Antonio Gibson the rest of the way. Dan Schwab asking, Madison or Javonte with Gordon back? I mean, I can't make that decision yet. I would say Madison, just based off of I don't know the matchups. I know Detroit is who Javonte plays, and then Madison plays Pittsburgh. But still, like I got to do a little bit more research. But with Melvin Gordon back, yeah, Madison would be the way to go. Kicks Plugs, I'm worried about Hollywood Brown. I wouldn't say Don't be. I mean, if you relied on him, well, here's the thing. Did you draft him? Because if you drafted him, you probably drafted him somewhere in that window between rounds 10 and 16. And if you did that, then you should be fine. Like, you have nothing to worry about. Like, your other 2 wide receivers that you drafted to be your wide receiver 1, your wide receiver 2 can carry the way. Whereas Hollywood Brown is like, oh, this is a very nice flex option. That's what I did with my league. I drafted CeeDee Lamb and Jamar Chase to be my wide receiver 1 and my wide receiver 2. And I drafted Deebo Samuel just to be like a wide receiver 3, like in case one of those guys got injured or if I needed a good flex play, like some weeks Deebo Samuel could. But then he just exploded onto the scene, and now he's like my wide receiver 2. Jamar Chase now is dropped down to my wide receiver 3. So Marquise Brown is in the same boat for a lot of you guys. Like, it was a nice surprise. So I wouldn't worry about that just because, hey, it's good. Thank you for all that you've done, Marquise Brown. And if you suck the rest of the way, that sucks. But, like, I mean, I can't really hurt you for it because you won me a lot of games. You got me some points. You know what I'm saying? So I'd still roll with him just because he's been a top 5, top 10 fantasy wide receiver this whole season. So just continue to roll with them. They might have some better matchups coming up. So don't worry too much about it. Sony Michel is better than Daryl Henderson. Ooh, hot take. Hot take by Roth Tiberius Kane. Yeah, the former UGA running back has been bouncing around from the Patriots to the Rams. Finally had his full workload with the LA Rams. Now, is that attributed to any running back could be in the backfield and do well? Daryl Henderson has been doing well. Sony Michel, Cam Akers last year as well. So that's a tough take. That's a hot take as well. Yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting to see what the running back room is like next season when Cam Akers comes back healthy. Maybe even during the playoffs. They're not ruling Cam Akers out of the playoffs. Josh, you're saying which defenses do you think are the best target for the fantasy football playoffs? I don't know initially. I know the Giants have a good matchups in week 17 against the Jets, and then the Dolphins have a good matchup in week 15 against the Jets. So I don't know, like, if there's a defense that like really has like a good matchup every single week. I think the Titans are up there. I think they face. Oh, man, I don't know who they face. I think the Texans. Don't quote me on that. Or the Jaguars. They face the Jaguars next week. But I mean, I got to look into it. I just know individual matchups, but I don't know one that has like, oh, all 3 matchups are good. You know what I'm saying? So if you're looking for a defense, though, like, really hone in on treat week 15 with more attention than you would week 17 because you don't know if you're going to get into week 17. You don't. So might as well just try to take a one game at a time. Put all your attention towards week 15. I'm going late. So let me try to finish this up. Which option will you drop? Devontae Parker, Sterling Shepard, or Van Jefferson? Have PPR? I wouldn't drop either one of them. But if I had to choose Sterling Shepard, will the Browns make the playoffs? From Jack. I don't think so, man. I don't think so. With Baker's recent injury, they already weren't a passing team, and now their passing game is just. I don't think so. It's tough. It's tough and competitive in the AFC. Antoine, good morning. Down 24 points. I have Josh Allen and opponents has Singletary. Hoping Josh can give me 40 points tonight and save my playoff appearance. Yes, dude, it's going to be back and forth. It's going to be close. Again, Patriots defense might be tough, but definitely rooting for you. Raiders fan, since 1967, you said, hello from South Carolina. Thanks for your advice to start Sony Michel over Deshaun Jackson. Yes, sir. No problem. I put off the win with 4 waiver picks and 181 points. 11-2 first. I guess I go Swift and Pollard in the playoffs. Yeah. That's the way to go, man. That's the way. Congrats on that record. What are your thoughts on Sony Michel long-term outlook, or does he go back to the bench? Again, I think he goes back to the bench. Unfortunately, I mean, I don't. Good performance, and they're like, okay, awesome. Thank you, Sony, for your contribution to the Jaguars, helping us win big by 30 points. But Daryl Henderson is now back. He's healthy. He's going to be playing on all of the running back snaps. All right, well, that's going to be doing it for this episode of Time2Football. Hey, it was a good show. It was a very good show. So I appreciate you guys tuning in and giving your best, your stories about fantasy football and what happened this past week. Talking about week 13 of the fantasy football season, of the NFL season. Tomorrow we're going to be getting more into week 14 as we close the chapter on that. But WinView games, sign up, start playing. Enjoy the Patriots and Bills. With all that said, thank you guys for watching. And remember,